Hey guys, what's going on? Joey here with a quick little stream I just wanted to get on. I'm not sure if I would have had time later to do this, so I figured I'd get on now and talk to everybody about my Blue Velvet 35mm viewing experience. So cool, you guys. It was such a cool thing. This is the first David Lynch movie I've ever seen in the theater. And I've been a Lynch fan for maybe 6 years now. And I've just never been able to catch one of them in the theater. And there's been opportunities. I could have seen Fire Walk with Me in the theater. And Elephant Man at one point. And of course, Eraserhead, they play all the time. I still haven't seen that one in the theater yet, though. But Blue Velvet was sort of my intro to David Lynch. So I feel like it's appropriate for Blue Velvet to be the first David Lynch movie I see in the theater. So there's this cool theater in Manhattan called Metrograph that plays a lot of, they play a lot of very sort of artistic movies. They're not always, mainstream blockbusters. But they basically, it's a theater for people that love movies and love all kinds of movies. Called Metrograph in New York City. So I got the tickets for this, and I didn't know what to expect. I knew they were going to show the 35mm reel of Blue Velvet, and now when it started, there was supposed to be sort of an intro to the movie, which was kind of short, but when it started, I realized how long it had been since I had seen an actual film projection, that I was kind of taken back by like how kind of grainy and almost faded it looked. But the reel is probably over 30 years old, or 50, 60 years old at this point. I'm not even quite sure the actual timeline. So the movie starts, and I'm sort of like, I get goosebumps, and it's really exciting. And there was one element of the whole viewing thing. I mean, I'd seen Blue Velvet so many times. I've seen it probably a dozen or more times in the past couple of years. And one thing I never anticipated was, I didn't think about was watching this with a crowd, because I'd always watched it, I've always watched all these movies alone. So I think that was the most exciting thing about this whole Blue Velvet 35mm experience, was watching the David Lynch movie with sort of a full audience in a theater. It was just so much fun. People laughed at the jokes that I usually, I'm just in my room alone or something watching, or maybe with one other person. But having a whole theater just laugh at when Jeffrey does the chicken dance, and all these little moments that I thought were funny, or maybe didn't always catch, but as part of a sort of a full theater, it would just broke out into this roarous, thunderous laughter at some parts, and that was such a cool moment for me watching Blue Velvet in the theater for the first time, or any David Lynch movie in the theater for the first time, is just how the audience interacts with it. And this was a theater full of David Lynch fans and Blue Velvet fans. Nobody was going to go to this movie really not knowing what it was. People set out to go watch Blue Velvet in this tiny theater in Manhattan. So these were Blue Velvet fans, or David Lynch fans in general, all together in one room watching this movie. Maybe many like me watching a David Lynch movie in the theater for the first time, or not. But it was just the audience watching it together was such a cool thing. And the moments that were, rough, you felt sort of the uneasiness in the room. Like when Frank, kind of does his mommy thing. But it was, if you ever get a chance to watch a David Lynch movie, or at least Blue Velvet in a theater, I recommend you do so, because it's a really cool experience. And now I'm excited to see almost any David Lynch movie I can in the theater, because, I think a lot of us probably watch it by ourselves in our bedrooms or in our living rooms. And I don't know many people that have experienced these in an audience. I mean, I'm still fairly young. I just turned 27, so there hasn't been many opportunity to watch a brand new David Lynch movie in a theater. And the last time any of them came out, I was pretty young. So I'm kind of taking every opportunity I get now to watch it in the theater because it's just so damn cool. And you know, I want to see how the audience interacts with each movie. Anna, you guys don't have any like sort of novelty theaters that play weird things? I mean, New York has a lot of it, and it's becoming more and more popular. There's a theater not too far from where I live that's been shut down for a couple of years, and I always sort of, you know, mess with the idea of, you know, figuring out some kind of financing thing to buy and open the theater as sort of as a theater that kind of, you know, plays all these older movies and maybe some newer ones, but I kind of want it to be a novelty theater where people can come watch a David Lynch movie or a Kubrick movie in the theater where they've never been able to do that before. Especially a lot of younger people coming up and wanting to be filmmakers and wanting to, you know, just love film and love knowing film history, can come and watch some beautiful movies in a theater that, you know, came out 30, 40, 50, 60, almost 100 years before they were actually born. So I think it's just a beautiful thing when these theaters kind of focus on movie history more than, you know, just what's out now. Not saying there's bad movies out now, but I feel like the real true masterpieces and works of art are few and far in between. I think if you really want to see stuff like that, indie movies are kind of the way to go, although those don't always have the biggest budget, so they don't really stand out that much, which is a damn shame. But I've tried to dive into the well of indie movies, and I've been very happy and satisfied with a lot of the films I've watched during my time looking through all of them. And I'm still trying to dig for more. And if you guys ever have any recommendations for sort of indie movies or lower budget movies that you think I would be interested, please shoot me a text at any time, or tweet me at any time, or comment on one of the videos. So I also, it's really cool to support sort of indie filmmakers in general, but that's a topic for another day. Like we know with Cameron and his film, there's a whole new age of getting your film funded online. Almost anybody could make a film these days if you have the willpower and, you know, a good story, or at least a good reach. Not everybody that gets their movie made has a good story, unfortunately. But I just wanted to share my little experience watching Blue Velvet in 35mm because it was really something special, and I feel like I'm being really cheesy about it, but it seriously was really freaking cool to watch. So I hope everybody does get a chance to watch one of their favorite, you know, old movies in the theater. Blue Velvet was a special one, and if I ever get the chance to watch Fire Walk with Me or Mulholland Drive in the theater, I would absolutely love it. I would love it. I just want it, I mean, watching it on a big screen is cool. You notice details that you never really catch on your home TV. Even if you have a nice big TV, I have a decent sized TV and I still don't catch everything because, you know, everything's just smaller. So watching Blue Velvet on the big screen, you also notice a lot more detail, which is cool in itself. You're like, oh, I didn't notice that, you know, this thing in the corner, or I can't think of anything specific now. My memory is beyond me, but it's just a cool experience, and this is why I still go to the theater, because I think it's still the best way to experience a movie, hands down. I know it can be pricey, but I'm lucky enough where I live by theaters that are not just AMC. There is competition from smaller chains in the area that do charge less for movies, and the theaters are nicer. So, you know, totally put aside going to the theater, because I do think it is still a special experience. Like seeing Blade Runner 2049 in the theater, which is a beautiful movie, and I hope they play it again in the theater sometime, because I definitely want to go see it again in the theater, because it warrants that. It begs it for it. It demands to be seen on a big screen, which is beautiful. Katrina says, watching Fire Walk with Me on a big screen when it first came out did me in. I don't think I talked for 2 days. I can imagine. I really hope I get the chance. They do play it pretty often here. There's a theater called IFC Center, which many of you might know IFC. They have a theater, and they play Eraserhead and Fire Walk with Me. I don't know about Mulholland Drive, but they play at least Eraserhead and Fire Walk with Me pretty often. They have like these late night favorites that they like to reuse, and sometimes they show Jaws and Jurassic Park and The Shining and Space Odyssey. They're pretty heavy when it comes to Lynch and Kubrick and old Spielberg movies. Which I would like to see Close Encounters on the big screen someday, because that is one of my favorite movies. So yeah, that's that bit of the story. And I was just going to do a little Blu-ray haul, because I just bought a bunch of Blu-rays on sale, and I thought it'd be cool to show some of them. There's quite a bit. A lot of them are comic book movie things. By the way, guys, I will be doing more videos. I know I've been kind of quiet lately, but I've been trying to figure out what I want to do now with this channel, and I'm kind of working on a short film myself, figuring out how I actually want to do it. So that's why I haven't been too present on YouTube, but if you always want to chat, you could always message me on Twitter. I mean, that's just a phone away. So here are some of the movies I picked up recently. Quite a bit. They weren't. I don't really spend too much money on movies. These were all fairly cheap. So let's just go through these. Oh, you saw Close Encounters. Katrina says she saw Close Encounters on the big screen. That's really the sequence I want to see. The tones, boo 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 boo. Honestly, Steve, I know people have their opinions about Steven Spielberg movies, but he's one of the, I watched E.T. when I was a kid, and I watched Close Encounters and all these movies, and that's kind of what got me into pretty much wanting to write stories and make movies and be super creative. So I have those movies to thank for sort of putting me in place and setting me on this sort of path. Linda Evans says, let me turn that on. I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy and had the complete set on DVD, but when I saw Return of the King in theater, I was so much more enjoyable seeing it with others on a theater screen. Actually, that was the only Lord of the Rings movie I saw in theaters, because I kind of got into it a little bit late. So Return of the King I saw in theaters, which was incredible. I do remember. I wish I had been a little bit older so I could appreciate it more. Because, seeing a movie when you're younger, I mean, I loved movies when I was younger, but it just didn't have the same weight as something would today. You learn how to appreciate all the nuances of watching a film in theaters. It was very just, going to the movies for fun kind of thing, rather than the experience of it. But I would love to see the first two. I would love to just marathon them in a theater, if they ever did that anytime soon. That would be fantastic. So here are some Blu-rays I picked up. Some better than others, I guess. This one just came in the mail. I know a lot of people don't like this movie, but I'm trying to fill out my J.J. Abrams collection. So Super 8 just came in. I like this movie. I mean, it's not the best movie in the world. It was kind of cute. It had a lot of the same tone as an old Spielberg movie. He executive produced it, as it says here in big lettering up front. But I like the cast. Elle Fanning, who I'm a fan of. She does a lot of cool work now. J.J. Abrams wrote and directed it. Michael Giacchino, I think is pronounced, did the music. He also did the last song in Cloverfield, and I believe he did the music for Lost too. Worked on this, and it was a good movie, but I don't think it was as fulfilled or filled out as it could have been. But I figured, just have it for the collection, throw it on a lazy summer day. One second, and then all right. So the next one is West Side Story, one of my favorite musicals. Really fantastic. I don't have this on a physical format, so I figured get the nice Blu-ray, and I've seen it on Blu-ray before. Really crisp. I love watching these old movies on Blu-ray because the film reels are, the colors are so vibrant in this movie, especially all the outfits everybody wears. I really wanted to see this in crisp, clean HD. Not to take away from the old film formats, but sometimes I do like seeing the newer, cleaner version of older movies. They're so beautifully shot, and the old film reels, while they do look nice, they do, a lot of the colors fade over time and the reels wear out and things just don't look as good as they should. So this is one I really love getting old movies in Blu-ray. Maybe I'm a youngin' that just wants to HD, wants everything to look nice and crisp, but I do appreciate film, but I also think Blu-rays and 4K Blu-rays really do justice to the original movies and the way they're originally shot, and the colors just stand out, and the movies look so nice. I can't deny my love of Blu-rays. So here's another musical, actually, that took me a while to love, but Moulin Rouge. The first time I watched this, I could not stand this movie. I honestly couldn't. I thought it was cheesy. I didn't want it. Then I watched it a couple years later, and I got into it. I really liked it. I like Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman in it, and for some, maybe I'm turning into a cheesy old man or something. But I really do like this movie now, and I like the music. The Come What May scene is one of my favorite musical scenes ever. So I figured, this is under $10. Pick it up. It's worth a watch. I might rewatch it soon. Here's one I never really had in physical format either, but it's almost a staple at this point for any movie lover. Pulp Fiction. This is an easy one. This is $5 on Amazon, which is a steal, I'd say. So I didn't have it. I don't really have many Tarantino movies at all, so I figured I'd pick up Pulp Fiction and start that collection going. But this is just a staple, I think, at this point. Now here's one that people might think is weird, but I think it was it was a cool movie, and it's not the best horror movie in the world, but for something about it just gave it this sort of innate quality that made it memorable and kind of a classic to teenage Joey. When did this actually come out? Well, the movie is Jennifer's Body with Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried, who you might know as Becky from Twin Peaks, but I'm sure you guys already know that. When did this movie come out? 2014, so I was 23, I guess. I guess I was way past teen, but I did really like this movie. I thought it was twisted, and it just felt like sort of a decent coming of age movie, horror movie type thing, where pretty much everybody is crazy in this movie, and the monster Megan Fox's character almost seems like the most normal one. At least that's kind of the first impression I got when I first watched this movie. It was really bizarre. I thought you know, well, why does this monster seem to be the only normal thing in this town? So I thought this movie was unique in that way, and I'm not sure if everybody else has the same sort of take on Jennifer's body, but I mean, she was sexy and a monster and ate all these sort of douchey guys, I guess. But then it turns out that everybody's kind of strange, and I feel like there's a world here that needs to be explored more, and I don't know if they did explore it. I don't know if there's a book or like a comic book, but if they ever went back to this and tried to open up this Jennifer's body world a little bit more, I'd be into it. I want to see what else is going on in that universe. All right, so now we're coming to the DC block of Blu-rays. Basically, I usually don't buy Blu-rays if they're over $10, so I'm really cheap when it comes to Blu-rays. So all of these I waited till they were under $10. Some of them were $5. Some of them were, I think Jennifer's Body was $4. At this point, Blu-rays are getting pretty cheap. I think Pulp Fiction was also $5. So these are all budget purchases. Now these I'm going to show you now are these were all $10. Usually they don't go lower than that, as far as I know, unless it's 5 years past, 10 years past, then they start dropping in price. But I still haven't watched any of these, to be quite honest. So the first one is Batman and Robin. These I love these animated movies. Not all of them are fantastic, but the DC animated movies are the way to go if you want to watch a superhero movie. The live actions are whatever, but I always tell people, if you really want to see a good superhero movie, go for the animated movies, at least in the DC realm. I'm not too sure about Marvel, but I'm a DC guy, so I always get the animated DC films, usually Batman. So that's Batman vs. Robin, which I haven't watched yet. Then it's Teen Titans, the Judas Contract, and all these guys came with like a little figure, which is cool. Like here's a little Batman one. Just part of the reason why I bought it, because I just wanted these little figures. So I got Teen Titans, which came with a Blue Beetle figure. I haven't really watched these. I've heard good things. I usually kind of look up some reviews, because those usually you could take those into consideration with these, because they're usually pretty accurate, I think. So yeah, Teen Titans, the Judas Contract. This one I've been kind of excited for. Justice League Dark, which has all these sort of magic, mystical kind of heroes and villains in it. You have Constantine over here, and then of course Batman's there, because Batman is the unifier of worlds, apparently. So I started watching a little bit of this, but I wasn't able to finish it, so I have to go back to it. But I really liked this one so far, and it's cool to see a different sort of take on the Justice League in a animated format. And I just love these sort of magic, sorcerer, mystical, occult stories in the DC universe. They're always super interesting, and it shows you what they could actually be doing, instead of doing a lot of sort of the same kind of story over and over again. So here's the last one I have, which is Batman Bad Blood, which I don't think I've seen yet, but I really do love these DC animated movies, and huge fan of them, and I'm kind of building my collection slowly. But yeah, that's the little haul, my little Blue Velvet talk for today. So thank you guys for tuning in at such a weird hour. I kind of decided to do this randomly because I haven't done a video in a while, so I figured I'd talk to you guys and show off a little bit of the stuff I bought. So I hope to talk to you guys soon. I'll try to make it sooner than later, because I miss doing videos almost every day. I might go back to doing my morning show, depending on if I have time. So I might make it maybe a 2 or 3 times a week thing, at best. So thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you soon. I hope everybody has a good rest of their day or night, whatever. I think we're still in daytime for people watching this. Those of you in the UK, Anna, it's what, 6? It's about evening there. So hope everyone has a good night. That's almost night. And I shall talk to you guys soon. See you later.